Good afternoon, everybody. How are we all? Hi, Linda. Hi, Alison. Hi, Nan. Hi, Susan. Hi, Carol. Hi, Lorraine. Hi, Val. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Jill. Hi, Samantha. You were here very early. Hi, Karen. So were you. Hi, Beverly, Debbie, Kathy, Rebecca, Jan, Janet. New Year of Crafting. Oh, you see, we started that last week, Janet. I was here on the 4th. Well, your craft room's done now, though, isn't it? So you're ready, all set and ready to go now, Janet. Hi, Hazel. Hi, Lorraine. Hi, Jean. Gosh, there's quite a few of you here already. That's nice. Thank you very much for joining me again. So today I thought, I know people have bought new stuff. We're always getting new members. And people have bought things that have been out for a while, but that are new to some people. And I thought it would be a nice idea to just go back, use some older product, bit of newer product, and show you different ways to use this set. Don't forget that there is the fabulous 20% off the whole of the Lisa Horton Crafts brand on Create and Craft all week. That's running until Sunday night, or is it Friday night? Can't remember. Anyway, all week, and 20% off on top of your 10% members discount, plus the fact that the coneflower stems are already on a reduced price. It's a cracking deal. I mean, why wouldn't you? It'd be rude not to, really, wouldn't it? There are some fabulous deals, and of course you've got FlexiBuy on everything. Now, I know some of you will think I'm not using FlexiBuy because they're going to charge me for using FlexiBuy, and that was my initial reaction too. I'm not going to use Flexi anymore. But if you think about it, FlexiBuy was something that Create and Craft offered, or Hachanda, or whatever it was, that they offered for people to buy things on the knock, as it were, that they couldn't afford to pay for all in one go, which is great. You know, if you can budget like that, that's fantastic. But I do know that on occasions they had issues with people not finishing paying for their goods, and they've got no comeback. It's a very it's a grey area. Some will agree, some won't agree. I can understand why they're doing it. I didn't at first. I just thought, like many people, this is the beginning of the end, or they're trying to claw money out of us, or whatever. But they're not really. They're just trying to protect their business, and you can't blame them for that, can you? Especially these days. So FlexiBuy is available on everything, and your charge will be on a sliding scale. So I'm sure you've probably all had the email. Up to a certain point, it's £5. I think, is it £2.50, £5 and £10? I can't remember now what the email said, but I think it's a small price to pay to be able to spread your payments, basically. So that said, 20 Horton is the code that you'll need to use to get the 20% discount. Don't forget the coneflower stems are already on a cracking deal. Less your 10%, less another 20%. Fabulous. So let me just catch up with a few. Hi, Karen. Hi, Julie. Hair done, eyes down looking. Got your coffee? Well, that's you sorted then, Julie. Hi, Evelyn. Hi, Pauline. Hi, Karen. Don't think I've missed anybody. Hi, Sandy. Hi, Nikki. Hi, Julie. Hi, Wendy. Snow in Dartford. Wow. Haven't got snow up here. It's a bit cold, but I don't think it's as cold as I expected it to be. But there's plenty of time yet, isn't there? So basically, every card that I've done today will use this in some shape or form. Okay, now they are called scripted edges, which would lead you to think that you need to use them on the edge of your card. You can use them on the edge of your card, you can use them in the middle of a card, you don't have to use the edge. You can mix the two, the large and the small. There's so many different ways to use this set, it's just so versatile. So you get the edge die for the big words, so there's 4 large sentiments and then these 6 smaller ones that go alongside, okay? So you get the edge and the sentiment that goes with it for all 4 of those, and then you get your smaller ones as well, okay? I've only used, I think, wishes on all the cards that I've done. The small dies, I've only used wishes, but I think I've used birthday and for you and with love. I don't think I used the celebrate, okay, but you know, they all work in exactly the same way. I'm just going to leave them there because I'm going to need a couple of those in a second. So if I just show you the first one that I did, this was supposed to go on my little banner for the event, and I forgot. I just put the scripted edges on, but this one, you can see that I've actually just used the sentiment. So when you cut the for you and the with love, it will actually cut you 2 words, okay? The edge will cut in one piece, and then these 2 sentiments will cut 2 words out, okay? Hi Colleen, no worries, we've only just started. Hi Bonnie. Hi Marion. So yeah, these will cut 2 words and these obviously only cut the 1, okay? But I've only used the words on here, and I've used the wildflower spray. Now, when I do my lives, I usually have a piece that I've already stenciled that I'm going to use on the project that I'm going to show you. And then I stencil one to show you how it sort of comes together. And I always say, I'll use the one that I'm making today, I'll use on another project at some other point. So most of these cards are done with those, I'll use that on another day. So I'm putting my, not scraps, but my extra pieces to good use today, okay? So as I say, wildflower spray, and I've stenciled it, I've die cut it and I've embossed it, and then I've cut another piece in black and I've just made it so that it's got a drop shadow, and that's really just to make it stand out against that sort of pale background. And then I don't know whether you can see, if I lift it up a little bit, you should be able to see it better. But in the background there is this stamp, okay? Sorry about the light, I'll get it there, that's not too bad. This cracked bark texture stamp set comes with 14 other stamps, so you've got lots of sentiments in there, and I like this sort of typeface font. I think it's really, really clever. But what I did was, instead of stamping this with ink, I'm going to move it because it's still shiny, I've stamped it with the Stay Tacky ink, and then I've added the rose gold gilding flakes, okay? I was going to go with the vintage gold, and then I thought, no, I'll use rose gold just to be a little bit different. And yes, it's a big stamp, but it's just as easy to use your gilding flakes and your Stay Tacky ink on this as it is on a smaller stamp, okay? So don't worry about that. All I would say is, if you're when you're inking it up with your glue, I would work in strips, and I would just start down one side and then move across, and that way you won't miss any, okay? It's a very big stamp, and I would advise you to use a stamping platform if you've got one. But when you stamp it down, because it's a Stay Tacky glue, it is going to stick to your card a little bit, so you're going to need to be really careful. So you need to put enough pressure on to make sure it stamps down with the ink onto the card, but then you need to release it quickly. But the chances of you making sure your card stays in one place and being able to re-stamp it are quite slim, because it sticks to the card. It's going to lift your card, and so it's going to move it. So unless you mark out where that piece of card is, you need to do it in one sort of stamp, if you like. Snowing in central London, blimey, must be cold. I've been called all sorts, Susan, so don't worry. Hi Donna. So yeah, and then I just added the rose gold gilding flakes, and then had to hoover my craft room floor because I was literally covered in the stuff. I did 2, so I've got another one to play with, and then just cut the words out. And I've used the torn edge squares to cut it out with, and cut my backing piece of card. And it's simple, but I think it's really effective. Okay, so I didn't want to do this one live because of the gilding flakes. And I've used gilding flakes live, and I've shown you how to use them. And I know Claire's using them tomorrow as well. So I just wanted to do this and have that one done. Okay, so that was the first one. So if I just put my bits and pieces to one side. So then this second one, again, I'd had these pieces, this piece here, cut out already. And in the background, I've actually die cut the main piece. So you get 3 pieces with this. Okay, this is the EDGECUTZ WALLFLOWER. And this is probably my most favourite EDGECUTZ that Lisa's done. I like this one. So you get a solid piece, which is the piece in the background. You get the outline piece, and then you get the edge. I've not used the edge on this occasion. I've just used these 2. Okay, so I used pale blue texture card, and then I stenciled some 2 tones of blue onto the card, and then die cut my flowers out. So I've used this stencil here from the Slimline Essentials. Okay, I'm not sure if they're still available, but I didn't have time to check. In fact, I didn't really have time to do much else at all this morning. I was still putting stuff together at 1:45. Anyway, and then I've used the nested stitched rectangles to cut out my piece of card. And in the background here, when you cut out this piece, obviously you're left with a piece of card that, I thought I'd kept it, but I haven't. You're left with the piece of card that's just cut that out of the middle. So you could use that as a stencil, which is what I've done. And I've just lightly inked through, and I think I've used Surf's Up on there. So on the stencil in the background here, I've used Surf's Up and Deep Ocean. And it's really just to give the flowers a little bit of interest in the background. Okay. And then this is going here on this card. But what I wanted to do was do a little bit of stenciling on the back of the card first. I don't know why I put my ink away, but so let's do that first, and then I can just put my stencil. This is the bubble wrap stencil. This has been out for an absolute age. This was one of the first stencils that Lisa did, which I adore. I adore anything bubble wrap. So, you know, the stamp and the stencil and the embossing folder. Wow, I've used the embossing folder today. So I'm just going to put a little bit of Surf's Up on my brush. I'm not using too much because I don't really want it to be too obvious. I just want a tiny little bit of stenciling in the background in those corners. We'll go a little bit deeper. And this really is just to add a little bit of interest to the card. It doesn't serve any other purpose really. I'm not re-inking the brush. I'm sure there will probably be more than enough for what I want. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I don't really want any more than that. Okay, so that was the Surf's Up Cloud9 blending ink. And then this will go here. So you see already how that's changed that card from just being plain to a little bit more interest. I know that Val does a lot of this, and I love how the effect that Val gets with her stenciling in the background. So I'm a bit copycatting Val, hope you don't mind. So that's going there. And you can see here on my card, before I stick this down, that I've already used my edge on the With Love die to just cut that out. Okay, so if I just show you, when you're lining it up, make sure I get the right one. When you're lining it up, to make sure you've got it straight, I would just use your silicone mat. I just left mine up here. I'd use your silicone mat, line your card up so that your card's level, so you line it up along a line, and then make sure that these two ends sit on the same line. Okay, so I'm putting it in the middle and I'm making sure that this end and this end sit along that same line. Okay, you with me? It's just a way of making sure that your sentiment is straight. Alright, you could use a ruler if you wanted to. That'll work equally as well. So I'm just going to add this down here. Now I would 3D it, but I've got about 4 or 5 cards to get through. So I'm sorry, I'm just going to have a drink. Dear me. Your scripted edges should arrive today. Brilliant, Hazel. Well, this is just perfect timing then, isn't it? Yeah, I think postage is one of those sticky issues, Karen, to be honest. There's not a lot anybody can do about it. So shall I 3D it? Let's go for it. Let's just do it. I'm sitting here worrying about it. I could be halfway through adding them on, couldn't I? And again, when I 3D these, it's really just to lift the card a little bit, just make it a little bit more interesting than flat all the time. There's a place for totally flat cards. It's going to be cheaper on your postage, but I always think it's nice to have a little bit of dimension on your cards if you can. If you don't want it, you don't have to have it. So let's stick this down and then we can just add the sentiment onto the side of that card. And that's sort of like, so that's 2 ways that I've used it differently already, but equally as simple and equally as quick. You know, it's the die cutting that takes the time. Putting the cards together is the easy bit. So we'll just pop that down there like so, and come across a little bit. And if you wanted to add some gems or some pearls, you could. I'm not on this occasion. I have on a later card, but not this one. So then I've just cut the letters out of pale blue texture card to sort of match the colours that I've used here. Okay, and then it's just a case of gluing them down. There's nothing more difficult than that. That's each month. That's a good idea, Jeanette. Oh, there's my ink. My glue has decided to throw a wobbly. Bear with. My sentiment stamps have arrived today, so I'm quite pleased. And they are fabulous. And the other reason that I thought I would do this today is because there's this 20% discount on the whole of the brand shop, and it's going to give you an opportunity to buy things that maybe you couldn't afford before, or you weren't in a position to be able to afford before. It's just a way of reiterating that all of Lisa's product will work with all of Lisa's product. It doesn't matter what you use, it will all work together. And I know I say that, and I know, you know, you could say, well, you would say that you're on the design team, but I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true, because, well, it's pointless, isn't it? It's a fact. You know, it's not myth, it's a fact. Postman must have heard you, Val. He must have been waiting round the corner. They are fabulous. So I'm just going to add the glue down to here. And again, this is a really simple, quick card. So, you know, if you're faced with, oh, you couldn't just make me a card for so-and-so in the office, these are going to be perfect. Because once you've, I would say have a die cutting session and just cut the words in several different colours. Hi Lisa, no worries. Just cut your words in several different colours and then you've got them ready for when you want to use them, you know. So it's worth having a little die cutting session. So that's card number 2. And again, I think these came out together actually, this wallflower edger and the scripted edges. I think they all came out together. So they go together perfectly. But then these will go with anything else as well. Okay, so that's card 2. Card 3 is sort of a little bit more on the masculine side. Well, I think it is. You know, I know people sort of say, well, you don't do very much for men, but I think there are numerous things in Lisa's inventory that you would use for a bloke. There are lots that I've used in the past, so you know, I personally think there's plenty out there for you. So I'm going to use birthday and make sure I get the right edger, otherwise it won't fit. And you'll see here that what I've done so far is I've got a little 5x7 card. I've used again the nested essential stitched rectangles, the A2 ones, and I've also used the Gears embossing folder, and I've embossed a piece of white card which I've then just run my brush over with anthracite ink. I've used the letters, I should have had the set for the letters and I haven't, I'm sorry. I've used the letters from the skinny alphabet, so there's the uppercase and the lowercase, so that sits on this side of the card. And in the background here you can see that I've used the texture stamps, this one, my all-time favourite, and I've just used second generation ink and I've used tree bark Cloud9 blending ink, and I've just stamped it on a piece of paper and then stamped it on the card, and again just to add a little bit of interest to that card. Okay, so I've used those. Now on here I want to add the birthday wishes, but I want to add it so that it's sort of a corner, if you like. So I am going to run this through my die cutting machine in a sec, but what I want to do is just sight this so that the edge of this comes to the edge of the card. Okay, so it actually cuts the whole of the card out. So if I just stick that down there and then pop it through my die cutting machine, now you can see that I'm left with 2 separate pieces. I can use this on another project, that famous saying, and then I can just put birthday in there. So I can use the negative as well as the positive, okay? But this one is the one I want to use for today's card. And I'm just gonna sit that on top of the one underneath, the one with the gears on, okay? And I'm going to glue that down. So you can see that the dad I'd already put down is in the right position for this. Oops, I'm not sure I've used the right colour card, but I think once the birthday and the wishes are sitting on there, I think it will look a lot better. So I'm just going to add my glue down here. And then add it down to the corner and try and match it up as best you can, because you don't really want to see that white piece underneath if you can help it. I don't think it really matters if you can, but it's nice not to. Okay, and then I've already cut out the birthday and the wishes, and I'm going to pop the wishes down first. This is where these tiny little bottles come in really useful. Yes, I did, Evelyn. I bought the bottles off Amazon and then just decanted some of Lisa's fabulous tacky glue into the bottles. well, the bottle. I ordered 2, it was a set of 2, but one of them had got a split in this bit here, so wasn't really very much use, but as I only use one at a time, it wasn't too much of a problem. But they are very, very useful, especially when you're doing sort of narrow sentiments like these. It's perfect. So I'm just going to pop that down there, like so, and then I can do the same with the birthday and pop that where my edger is. Can see you having a busy afternoon, Val, playing with your sentiments. So I just add my glue on here. Takes a bit of time, and I can't talk and concentrate on this at the same time as a rule. I try, but so if I go a bit quiet, I'm sorry. But it doesn't take long. That's the beauty of the little bottle, really. And I'm just going to add that down there, like so. I suppose this could have been the same colour as this, but I'd already got letters cut out. I've got a bag full of these letters in different colours, but I don't think that looks too bad. I think that'd be okay for a mail card. It's got gears in the background. I don't think there's anything feminine about that. You could make it feminine, but I don't think that one is. So I quite like that. Probably would have used a different colour card here if I'd have thought about it, but it's done now. And my dad's got a birthday card for June, so that's that one sorted. So then I thought, what was my next one? I made this, I did this some time ago. In fact, I did a whole batch of them. Do you remember? I did lots in different colours. And I just thought, I'll use that today. Now, you don't have to use these on a straight edge. You can make it a curved edge if you want. I know that Sue Peachy did a card that had got a curved edge on it, and that was what made me think about doing this. So I've put my sentiment on the corner, okay, and then what I'm going to do, I've just drawn, I don't know whether you can see that, I've just drawn a faint pencil line around here where I want to follow it round. And the reason I've drawn the line is to help me with keeping it sort of a reasonable curve. You know, I don't want to mess it up by sort of doing it freehand and making a mess of it. So I'm just going to follow my pencil line to join where the die finishes cutting, and then I'm going to do the same this side. So I think I'll actually start this side and follow it from the die cut round my pencil line. Okay, so I'm going to follow that pencil line round like so. Okay, that's pretty okay, I think. And then what I'm going to do, you'll see that I've already gone around the edge here. This is Margarita. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish the edges here in the same way, okay? Because I don't want to have a totally white edge on that. So I'll just move that out of the way and bring my mat in. And then I can just use my Margarita. And it's only very light, and it's only sort of right on the edge of that sentiment, just so that it all ties in and it matches really, really nicely. Some of the letters you might get a little bit more ink on than others, but it won't matter. It'll still look decent. You could use a small stencil brush if you wanted to, but I prefer the Wonder brushes for that. So that was Margarita again, one of the Cloud9 blending inks. Such fabulous inks, really good quality. So let's move that out of the way so don't get green ink on everything. And then we can add this down to our base card. Now for this, to cut this out, I used the nested stitch bubble squares, and I've used the second of the largest ordinary stitched squares. Okay, I've not used the bubbles at all, so just that second one there. And then I've added my 3D pads to the back, so this might take me a few seconds to just take these off. I have cut little pieces just to support those pieces where the sentiment is, because I don't want them to sort of flop down, if you know what I mean. I want them to sort of sit on the same level as everything else. So I've cut my little sticky pads up and used those. Could have used 3D glue, but I didn't want to, because if I've got to add words on top, I didn't want to put any pressure on it and make it a different level, because that's the only problem with the 3D glue gel. Once you press on it and you push it down, you can't really lift it back up again. So, and this is my, I think it's a 7x7 card. I'll measure it in a sec. And then I'm just going to pop that on there as centrally as I can. Just a little bit far over, but never mind. Now, if you wanted to, you could go round the base card with your margarita as well. I haven't, but if you wanted to, then you could do. Okay, and then I'm going to pop my Leafy Flourish, which is this fabulous, beautiful embossing folder, and obviously it comes with its own die. The stencils are amazing, and like I say, I did a whole batch of these in different colours, so that's why I'm using this. The sentiment, the For You, I just inked up a piece of white texture card, again with the margarita, so that it all matched. I didn't want to use a different coloured texture card because I couldn't find one that would match any of these colours that I've used. And there is margarita, pina colada, woodland moss, and a little bit of eucalyptus leaves in that. But I couldn't find a card that would pick out one of those colours. So the easiest thing to do was just ink up a piece of white card with the same, one of the same inks that I've used in here. Okay, and I do that quite a bit because I do think it's nice to be able to match everything together. All right, so I'm just going to add these down on my card before I put the Leafy Flourish down, because the Leafy Flourish is quite large and I don't want it to be, I don't want to cover any of it up by sort of putting it down first and then having to put the words down. So I'm doing it the other way around. So pop that one on there. Now you can see that there was quite a bit of margarita on that background, but really it doesn't matter because it's sitting into the white part of the card. You can still see the difference. And I just think I haven't gone really heavy with the margarita either. It's just I like covering on the white texture card. And again, I use the Wonder brushes because I think they give a really good soft coverage. And there's never any harsh lines, so I just think they're perfect. So I think my little bottle has decided to clog again. It doesn't usually. Oh, there you go. There we go. So then we just pop this down here like so. Okay, so that's your sentiment. And then I can put my Leafy Flourish down on here. Okay, I've already put my 3D pads on the back because I didn't want to add it flat. I wanted it to have some dimension because I think it's such a beautiful stencil and embossing folder set that I think it deserves that extra little bit of lift on your card. So the next one that I'm doing is also a mail card. It could be female quite easily depending on the colours that you use, but I chose to do male colours, what I think are male colours anyway. So I'm going to pop that down there. I'm just going to make sure that those leaves don't touch that sentiment. I don't mind if they hang over this square at all, because I think that just adds to the effect. And then because I've got the 4U, I'm just going to use one of these out of the washi set. I think I'm not sure whether the sentiments are the same in both sets, but there are hundreds of sentiments for you to use in those sets, and the washi papers are gorgeous. So I'm just going to pop this down here, just off center slightly, and then just to finish it off, because I haven't done this for a while, I'm just going to use some little flat back pearls just on some of the leaves. I was going to use green, but again, I couldn't find a green that complemented rather than clashed, so I decided not to use green, and I've just used the pearl ones. Where's my, oh there it is. Couldn't find my pickup tool then for a minute. So just randomly placed on the leaves, just to make it look a bit, just to lift it again, I think, really. Okay, so like I said, if you wanted to go around the outside of the main card, you could do, but I don't think you actually need to. But I think Sue did on hers, but I quite like that, and I think it just looks a little bit different. But I love the colours that ended up on this Leafy Flourish. I think it's just perfect. Oh, Rebecca, it's such a versatile set. It really is beautiful, and depending on what colour you use, it can look so totally different. It's unbelievable. So that's that one. So then this one is based on one that Lorraine did, and I liked it so much I thought I've got to try and replicate it. So my piece of card was oh, I didn't measure that card, did I? Yeah, it's just under 7 inches square, that one. Okay, I'll put that out of the way. So this one was just under 8 by 5. Okay, and then what I did, Lorraine's is blue and white. Okay, mine's browns, because like I say, I did it for a fella. So I've just put the die, the edger die, onto my card base, and I've cut it as a double piece. It cuts beautifully. You won't have any problems cutting it with the dies, even though it's two layers of card. You can see I did them both at the same time. Okay, and it cuts beautifully. So then you just need to cut 4 pieces of card going down in size. Now this is how I did it. I'm sure Lorraine was going to tell me that there is a far easier way of doing it than what I've done, but I've done it now. So I've cut 4 pieces of card, and I've used the edger die at the top of each piece. Okay, and you can see that they're different sizes, because as they come down the card, you don't want, I personally didn't want to use a whole piece. I could have made this smaller, but I didn't want to use a whole piece down the main part of the card. Okay, and I would always sit them down first and decide on your spacing. Okay, Lorraine's bound to tell me there's an easy way, but this was how I did it. Okay, now this bottom piece of card does go over the edge of the main card, but I'm not worried about that, because I can cut that off afterwards, and then I can add my wishes. Okay, so I'm happy with that spacing, and what I did to help me sort of work it out is I've put a tiny little pencil mark, can't really see it on the brown, but I've put a tiny little pencil mark on my cards where the top of that B comes. Okay, and that's just to help me with the spacing on the cards. Okay, so if I put this top one down first, line it up with what I've cut out at the top. As I say, I could probably have made this piece of card quite a bit smaller, but Lorraine may have even used blue card and added the white on top, or vice versa. I'm sure she'll tell me if I ask her nicely. That's just how you did it, good. I'm not as daft as I thought I was then, Lorraine. And again, when you're lining it up, try and make sure that you get it as straight as you can. Okay, so I'm going to stick this one down first and try and get it. I don't mind if you can see a little bit of the white card underneath, because I don't really think it's going to matter. It's the thought that counts, and it's the idea behind it. Okay, so I can see a little bit of the white edge, but I'm not worried. So then we come to the next piece, and if I try and find my pencil mark on here, I think it's about there. So what you want to do is just try and make sure that your spacing is around about the same for each piece. Okay, I could probably go a little bit higher with that. So let's add the glue to the back. And then we can put this one down as well. If it doesn't line up quite right, please don't worry about it. I still think that whoever receives it will be chuffed to bits. And you can always trim the edge if you need to. Okay, so then I can put this one down here. And I think you don't need anything else. I'm going to put the wishes on the bottom, and you really don't need anything else, because it sort of speaks for itself. And because of the colours that I've used, as I say, Lorraine's was blue and white, and again, I think that's another perfect colour combination, because obviously there are, you know, blokes go for football teams and the like, don't they? I might actually trim this down afterwards, just to make sure it all looks even. And then this last piece is going to go down the bottom here. And as I say, I know it's going to hang over the bottom, but I don't mind, because I'm going to cut it off, and then I can just add my wishes on. Don't add your wishes on first, because otherwise you will end up with half a word, and you don't really want that. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the card here, because I'm not sure how far down this card's going to go. Okay, so I'm going to add that about there, like so. So like I say, can't take credit for this one. It was Lorraine's idea. And then I'm just going to trim this off. So I'm just going to take that bottom piece. So you see, if I'd have added the wishes down, chances are I might have cut it in half. And I'm just going to see if I can just trim that down as well. I might actually do it with my trimmer afterwards and do it in 2 halves, just so that I can get that edge perfectly straight and you can't see any other colours underneath. So if you look carefully, you can see that it hasn't quite lined up along this edge. But if I put it in my trimmer afterwards, when it's all dry, I can trim that edge so that it's level. Okay, and then again, I can just use my little glue bottle if it decides to play ball and add that wishes down. And again, these cut beautifully. I whizzed them through this morning, and they cut like a knife through butter. I was going to say a butter through a knife then. That wouldn't be right, would it? So I just add my glue, and then I can add my word down and finish that one. I think Lorraine put hers this side, but I think I quite fancy mine this side. I'm not going to go right to the edge this side, but I am going to go near the edge on the bottom. Okay, so again, doesn't need anything else, and I think it's perfect colours for a bloke. You could use their favourite colours. You could use 2 shades of green, you could use 2 shades of blue, whatever colours you want. It's just such a versatile die set that you could do anything really. So thank you, Lorraine, for that idea. I really like that. And it's not that difficult. Once you've got your head round how do I do it, it really is quite easy. Okay, so that's that one. So then lastly, I just thought, now I'll put this together at about 20 to 1, okay? I just thought, can I do a really, really quick card and say, if you want a quick card, this is the perfect set to use. If you want a quick card, this is the perfect set to use. And all I've done is I've got a 5x7 card. I've used the nested, scalloped and stitched rectangles, and I've used the largest plain edged rectangle, and then I've used 2 embossing folders. Okay, I've used the heart stripes and I've used the bubble wrap. Oh look, bubble wrap, there's a novelty. Fancy me using that. So I've got two frames, 2 of the rectangles. The bubble frame is going down on the bottom like this, and you can already see that I've put the edge die in here and I've already cut it out. Okay, I embossed this first, then cut the edge, and then just popped it back in and re-embossed it. Okay, I'm just going to cut this straight just to meet that line there. And again, line them up with your silicone mat just to make sure they're level, and just cut that across there like that. Take that bit away, and I can add this down on here like that. Okay, so that's going to get glued on there, and then I'm going to put my sentiment. And again, it really doesn't need much else at all. So if like I say, if you have a die cutting session, and you sit and you die cut loads of the words, the edges, I'd probably just do the words, if I'm honest, because you don't know when you're going to use the edge and how you're going to use the edge. So just die cut all your words in several different colours so that you've got them ready to use. And then putting a card together, a quick card, which I think still looks really, really classy, because you've got all that embossing on it, you've got all that fabulous embossing that looks amazing. Just be careful when you're gluing embossed card to embossed card, because obviously there's a lot of rise and fall on both pieces, so you just need to make sure that the top piece has actually stuck to the bottom piece before you move on. Okay, and then I could 3D this, but I haven't got any pads out, and I'm quite near the end of one of my rolls, and every time I pull a strip of pads out, it falls back into the box, and then I have to undo the box and then go fishing for me pads. So I just thought we'll go flat with this one. And again, if it's a quick card, flat's always better, because it takes far less time than putting 3D pads on. Okay, you could add a little flower on if you wanted, if you've got little flowers cut, like the out of the box kit, or out of any of the magazine box kits that Lisa did, because there's lots of little flowers in there. And again, then I've just cut my words in the same colour that I've used on here. These were done ages and ages and ages ago, and I honestly can't remember what colours I've used, although there does look like a bit of coral beach in there possibly, and a bit of antique linen. But this, I thought, complemented the heart stripes piece perfectly, so that's why I used it. It's sort of a salmony pink, isn't it, rather than a girly pink or a Barbie pink. I see Oppenheimer beat Barbie at the Golden Globes. Not that I've seen either. I think Lisa's only seen half of Barbie because of the scare that happened while she went. So I'm going to pop that on there like so. And again, because you're sticking this to embossed card, just make sure that you make sure it's stuck down really well. Wrong bottle done. And then just add the wishes down to the heart stripes part of the card. I mean, if you wanted to, you could have cut some words like on your in white and put it at the top instead, but I just like this birthday wishes. I think it's a really nice sentiment, so that's what I went for. So we're going to put that down here. I don't think it always has to go right next to the birthday. So there you go. That's a really quick 5-minute, you know, hi honey, can you make me a card for tomorrow for the office? Not that I get that, I don't. So there you go. That's a really quick, let me move those out of the way. That's a really quick, that's a pretty quick but quite effective. That's a, oh, I've got one of these already inked, I'll use that. Another mail card. The sentiment's actually on the edge, and then one just using the words without any edges at all. I don't think I'm going to get them all in shot, but do my best. Let's lift that one out a little bit. So there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 cards, all using the scripted edges, but all look completely different, don't they? And I just think it's one of the most versatile sets that Lisa's brought out. You can use it with absolutely anything. No worries, Connie, don't worry. Hi, Suzette. Thank you, Bonnie. So yeah, I've had fun today. I thought I really enjoyed that. I was a bit stressed this morning, thinking I was never going to get it all done, but I got there in the end. So there you go. Sort of 50 minutes of crafty chat and a bit of fun. So don't forget 20 Horton for your discount code on Create and Craft. That's all week. I'm pretty sure it lasts till Sunday night at sort of 11:59. And of course you get your 10% club discount as well, so you're actually getting 30% off everything. And the cone flowers are on a cracking deal anyway, and with your 10% discount and your 20% extra discount, it's an awesome deal. So have fun, enjoy shopping, spend all your Christmas vouchers or money you haven't got like I do, and have fun, enjoy. So Claire will be with you tomorrow. She's doing coneflower stems, I've noticed. So that should be fun. And then she'll be back with you on Thursday, and Lisa will be with us on Friday night at 7 o'clock. Then I'll be back with you Monday and Thursday next week. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that. Hope to see some in the group with the scripted edges. Just have fun with them, enjoy them, and I'll see you soon. So take care of everybody, take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you very soon. Bye now.